The last 2 books I've read have been adapted into movies. I've read True Grit, which has been done twice, and then I also read A Room with a View. When I read books that have already been made into movies, I always make a point of it to go and check out the cast list, because it just saves me a lot of heartbreak later on down the road. I don't want to get my own picture in my head and then watch one of the movies and be like, ah.
But you've already seen the movies.
I know I've already seen the movies, but I do this with everything. When I read Hunger Games, the movies were just going into production, so I'm like, oh, who got cast as what? I was surprised at Woody Harrelson, so I just scrubbed my idea of Woody Harrelson's character out of my head and just placed Woody Harrelson there. And then later on I could just be like, oh yes, of course Woody Harrelson. Who else would play that role? When I know that I'm eventually going to see a movie, I just save myself the trouble. Maggie Smith, obviously. Dowager Aunt. Room with a View. Boom. Helena Bonham Carter. Done. Denholm Elliott. Done. Got them all.
You gotta catch them all. Just like those Pokemon.
Yes. Hey. Timely.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement.
I haven't watched a movie in over a week. I'm looking forward to whatever you have in there. Matt smirks, I'm afraid.
We'll see. Welcome back to the basement as we continue to celebrate August with a look back in August, where we re-examine some of the themes that we've done on past shows. When choosing tonight's movie, I went all the way back to season 1. Because you know what I want to see tonight, Craig? I want to see a house get destroyed. And it ain't going to be a German composer doing it. It's going to be a big old dog named Beethoven.
Lay it on me, man.
Still looking forward to it?
Yes!
Released in 1992, Beethoven stars 2-time Welcome to the Basement alumnus Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt. It was written by Amy Holden Jones and John Hughes, who wrote under the pseudonym Edmond Dante.
Edmond Dante?
Apparently it was a tribute to the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes. I like to think that the Count just spent all of his time planning his escape, his revenge, and writing a screenplay about a St. Bernard.
This movie features a rogues gallery of well-known character actors. There is another Welcome to the Basement alumnus who makes his big screen debut in this movie, and if you can spot him, I'll give you a special congratulatory handshake. Let's not forget about the most important character in this movie, the titular canine, who was played by Chris. Who the hell names their dog Chris?
Chris with a C?
C-H-R-I-S.
That's even worse. I met a dog named Sarah once, and it seemed very appropriate.
Despite very mediocre reviews, this movie grossed over $147 million worldwide. That's a lot of doggy biscuits.
Yes.
A big sloppy St. Bernard can be a real disaster in your house. But you know it can be a real disaster in your house. A real disaster in your house.
Well, oh no! It's a volcano! In a box!
In your house. That thing could completely destroy your entire home.
Or it could destroy a small portion of a rug. I'm missing a dog in my life, so I'm looking forward to hanging out with one for the next 2 hours.
With no consequences.
No.
Come on over and join us on the old leather couch, which I'm sure has already been torn to shreds by the destructive force of Beethoven.
The family movie Beethoven starts out at this factory that basically just kills dogs.
I need puppies.
Speaking of puppies, here's an adorable little St. Bernard. Oh, everyone thinks he's so cute.
We're gonna name you Shostakovich.
No one buys the adorable little St. Bernard. The mad scientist who we met at the beginning of the movie,
He sends these 2 dopey crooks to rob a pet store. This pet store has a state-of-the-art laser security system that they get past, and they steal all the puppies. Stealing puppies for a Nazi. But then they set off the alarm.
I've stepped in the beam.
Oliver Platt, young doofus. The 2 dopes get in the van with all the dogs and drive off.
when they're driving, they take a corner kind of fast, and a couple of the dogs find an opportunity to escape. One's this little crafty terrier, and the other one is the adorable little St. Bernard.
And the 2 dogs escape.
Come here! I'll give you a bone! I'll give you a bone!
Oh, hey, not cool. This is a family movie. And our little St. Bernard friend spends the night in a trash can. Come morning... Hey, somebody threw away a dog. I'm Stu, the garbage man.
Un perro.
Oh, here comes an ass bite. I hope. Come on, Beethoven. Don't let me down. The little puppy wanders into the home of one George Newton, a grumpy dad. That little dog goes and finds the youngest member of the family,
Emily.
climbs into bed with her, and she thinks, oh boy, Daddy bought me a puppy. You smell like garbage.
Mom, look, I dreamt I had a puppy and it came true.
Just like Freddy Krueger.
Why would her dad do that? He seems to be really into non-dog related things.
This dog's gonna turn our lives upside down.
If we keep it, the house will be destroyed.
And I can't wait. All of the kids are so excited, and so he's forced to keep the dog. But what are they going to name him?
Emily wants to name him Dick.
I don't think words for parts of the body make really very good names.
They don't say it, but that's what they're implying.
But that's what you call Uncle Richard.
It's either Dick or Penis.
Let's just call the dog Rover.
Mom, please. Come on, MC Hammer. MC Hammer.
They should call the dog MC Hammer. It's obvious that he's enthusiastic about pumps and bumps. Well, he seems enthusiastic about piano songs. Let's call him
Beethoven.
Beethoven grows up real fast, as this helpful montage will show you.
The dog grows into one of the largest dogs in the world.
Sometimes he's so messy that you can't even believe it. Do it! Do it! Oh, you magnificent beast! Charles Grodin could have had the common decency to change into a bikini first.
Yeah. George owns an air freshener company. He's working out a deal with these big city types.
Vanguard Capital. He needs this deal to go through because that's going to make him a lot of money. And that's what's important in his life, not dogs. Beethoven makes a mess on his suit. He's got to go change.
If I change my shirt, I gotta change my tie. I have to change my belt. I've got to change my shoes.
I'd like to change my marital status, if you don't mind, George. He locks Beethoven up in his fenced-in area, but unbeknownst to him, Beethoven has dug a little tunnel, and he escapes.
We get to see Beethoven's daily grind of him walking around the neighborhood getting free snacks.
Everybody knows Beethoven, and everybody loves him. Don't give me dark chocolate, it'll kill me. Beethoven's walking through an alley, and hey, he sees his buddy who helped him escape from the van.
When Grodin finds out that this guy's his pal, he's like, why didn't this one show up in my house? He goes and he visits Rice at school. Oh, this is a John Hughes movie. There's no black kids in the school.
She kind of has a crush on this popular boy, but he doesn't know she exists. Someday Mark will be attracted to my desperation.
You want a Twinkie?
You're not supposed to feed dogs things like that. Stupid. That's why boys don't like you.
Her hair is perfect. The teeth are perfect.
Her teeth aren't going to be perfect for long. I'm going to smash them. Oh, he's going to punch him in the dick.
Hey, check out Vita.
I got me shillelagh.
With a little help from Beethoven, they meet.
Well, see you later, Rice.
I always ignored you because I thought you were dogless. So Dad meets with these douchebags from Vanguard Capital.
That's someone, Annie Potts? That's not Annie Potts, is it?
Looks like her. She's an Annie Potts type. If only she would answer a phone, then we would know. She picks up the phone and goes, Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Bravo, Newton. Kudos. Thank you.
You're the smartest guy named Newton ever. Name me another smart Newton.
But I think I speak for myself as well as the Brewmeister when I say...
There are aliens and they are among us.
George, we're going to crunch some numbers.
And when I say crunch some numbers, I mean we're going to snort a lot of cocaine. The little nerdy son is being picked on by some bullies.
You know how nerdy you are? We're completely ignoring the kid with the violin who's sitting right in front of you. That's how nerdy you are.
But with a little help from Beethoven, they get chased off.
And Ted isn't that smart. He can't smell Beethoven for some reason. And he's like, hey, look at me, I'm strong.
It wasn't you, you little panty waist. That night, Beethoven leaves his cage through his convenient tunnel. He goes into the house. He watches a little bit of TV.
Hey, I'm turning into that big doggy. Look at my feet.
I don't think this has ever happened.
We're watching a movie in which they're watching a movie that we've already watched?
Yeah.
It's about time.
I said I'd give you one wish for your birthday.
Family movie. Dad gets up, he's investigating the noises, Mom goes to the bathroom, and then Beethoven gets into bed. He feels a little bit of something on the back of his neck, and he thinks that Mom is getting frisky. That's right, the dog is arousing him. But then he finds out that it's not her. And there goes his boner.
For the rest of his life.
Are you crazy?
You almost made me break my marriage vows! You've ruined my life, Beethoven. I don't like you. Our little buddy, the dog, gets caught by those goons again. They take him back to that warehouse. This evil guy is making a deal with a criminal who's developed a new kind of bullet. And the only way to test this bullet effectively is to fire it into the skulls of large dogs. It turns out this evil man is Dr. Varick, Beethoven's veterinarian. He sees that big dog's skull and his eyes go all goo-goo for bullet shooting.
I know your type, Dean Jones.
Maggie, take good care of these nice people.
Sedate them all for me. I need their dog for ballistics testing.
He tells Dad a fish story about how St. Bernards get this violent streak when they reach a certain age.
There's been quite a bit written about certain behavioral problems with the breed.
They no longer deliver alcohol to people stranded in the Alps like they used to.
Dad starts to get suspicious. The Vanguard Capital people...
We want to get in bed with Newton Auto Air Freshener.
Excellent, that's great.
But first we must come to your house, and everything must go according to plan.
The Newtons invite these comically snobbish people into their home for a party. But they certainly are interested in that big dog over there. As everyone's having a conversation, Beethoven walks around the table. He starts winding his leash around. David Duchovny gets a little irritated with the dog, and he throws a ball. That was a big mistake.
All Beethoven breaks loose. The two snobs go over the fence, and then they go down the street, presumably to their deaths.
You know, everything was just fine until Beethoven came into our lives.
I wish someone would shoot that dog in the head with special bullets. One day, Dr. Varick stops by. He makes a house call.
I like to do a follow-up on rabies shots.
I administer the rabies shots with a .45 automatic. Let me just go and be in the backyard alone with him while you go in the house and don't look at us.
Makes it look as though Beethoven's attacking him. But little Emily upstairs, she saw what happened.
Mom and Dad see this happening. They run out there.
I saw you. You hit Beethoven.
I'm a beloved Disney actor from the 60s.
I have half a mind to get into my love bug and leave.
Unless you bring the animal to my office immediately, I'm afraid I'll be forced to press charges.
George takes the dog away.
I know you won't believe me, but I don't want to do this.
Like how I really didn't want to do this movie, but the money.
37 stitches. So sorry.
He's informed by the receptionist that he will be charged for a night's boarding because the euthanizer doesn't come in until the morning. Is this dog selling money? Stacks of bills? For what?
For shooting dogs in the head. Which most people would do for free.
They start to wonder about the veracity of that vet's story.
They decide they're going to go and they're going to get their dog back.
They go pay a visit to the vet. George notices this vet doesn't have any bandages on his arm. His arm is fine.
Where's my dog?
You hit me, I'll have you put in jail for assault and battery.
George punches him out. The kids love it. But they see Dr. Varick getting into his car, and they're like, let's follow him. Inside, he tells the goons, bring me that big dog for the bullet test, and bring me that scrappy little dog for an injection test. So he was paid stacks and stacks of money to fire a bullet into one dog's head. The goons go and get the little dog, but Beethoven sees that his friend is in trouble, and he goes mad with strength. He bursts out of his cage, chases after the goons. It's chaos. Meanwhile, George has climbed up to the roof, and he's watching what's going on through the skylight. They finally subdue Beethoven, and the doctor's like, now it's time to shoot you with my gun. George comes bursting through the skylight like Batman.
The terrier, he comes in, and he gets Dr. Varnick in the little Varnicks.
Yes!
That was a gun!
Mom's off phoning the police, and little nerdy boy decides to take matters into his own hands. He gets behind the wheel.
Knocks over a big pile of needles. And he presumably dies. He is euthanized. All the dogs are freed.
And the dogs see the goons
I spy a couple of asses to chomp on.
And they decide to give chase. The goons just narrowly escape that pack of dogs, and they say, oh boy, we're safe now, but they don't realize that they're in a junkyard, and behind them are a bunch of junkyard dogs who ain't too happy that they're there. These men are presumably mauled. There's a big news story about Beethoven.
Animal lovers everywhere cheer to...
Hey, black person in this movie.
John Hughes must have had the day off.
Justice is served on Dr. Varnick and his two hoodlums, and the family are happy. The family are happy. That is a plural.
George, he thinks he can maybe live with Beethoven now. What is he wearing? Is it Kwanzaa already? But we find out that Beethoven is no longer the only dog in the Newton house.
That was the movie. That was the movie.
Very nice.
There we go, yeah.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Who is? It's Beethoven.
Even when he's a bad boy, he's a good boy.
To call this comedy broad is an insult to measurement. It's way too broad. Charles Grodin really tries to keep it reined in. I think he's really attempting something here.
You're the refined comedian. Watching him go broad, I feel a little bit embarrassed for him. But his character arc is legitimate. He does have a lot of nice moments when he tells the dog that, you know, it's like his dad had to put down his childhood dog. One moment speaks volumes. That's the only moment in the movie that seems to have any depth, and it's not just the words, it is the actor.
Charles Grodin had the lead role in this, but there were many other actors that were considered for that role.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
It was originally offered to Steve Martin, who turned it down. And other actors who were considered were John Candy, Danny DeVito, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Jeff Goldblum, Rick Moranis, and Robin Williams. Now, of that list, who do you think would have been a good substitute for Mr. Grodin?
I would like to have seen Jeff Goldblum's.
It seems that Beethoven has destroyed the house.
Funny thing. The best choice would be Rick Moranis.
Really?
Yes.
You'd feel too sorry for him.
You really see his struggle.
Yeah.
You know, you'd see it's like, because the dog is as big as a Rick Moranis.
Did this movie get too dark? It got pretty dark.
It didn't go there, but it went to the doorstep up there. And it opened up the door, and it pointed inside. Come, children, right this way.
I mean, how do you explain to your family why the bad man wants to shoot the doggy in the head with an exploding bullet?
Does Ted kill Dr. Varnick?
When they had the news story at the end.
Oh, yeah, he was arrested.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. The chemicals just made him infertile or something.
The best piece of casting in this movie is Dean Jones as a dog-killing villain. Growing up with the live-action Disney movies, Dean Jones was in half of them.
Sure.
He played a dog in one of them. He's the guy you want to be your dad when you're a kid.
He wasn't on Twin Peaks, was he?
I don't think so.
He should have been on Twin Peaks. He would have fit right in with Russ Tamblyn and Richard Beymer and all the rest of those guys from the 60s who showed up in Twin Peaks playing these weird roles.
Mm-hmm. You know who I wanted to see more of in the movie?
Who dat?
That terrier.
Oh, yeah, he was good.
He was like making a living for himself.
Sure.
You know, helping out the homeless guy.
Completely selfless dog. Well, we didn't notice the special cameo of our other Welcome to the Basement alumnus. That would be our beloved Jogo, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, making his big screen debut as student number 1. And there he is, right there.
I didn't see him. I must have blinked. It wasn't as good as we were kind of hoping it would be. What did you like about it?
I liked Beethoven.
Yeah.
And just watching that dog walk around and do things.
You loved it every single time he shook off the water.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the family. I didn't like the caricatured characters. It's just all very poorly pulled off by very accomplished actors, but I'm sure that was direction. I expected this to be a bit more of a gem from the past that, like, oh, this actually turns out to be not a bad movie. Oh. But unfortunately, that was not the case. That was Beethoven. That dog got into all kinds of mischief.
We were safely away from the action, so we didn't get all muddy.
Are you tired of sitting around in that fenced-in kennel? Well, why don't you go through a little secret tunnel over to our website, welcome-to-the-basement-show.com. There are essays by Mr. Johnson. There are all the episodes we've ever made, and there's a PayPal donation button. You can click on it. You can donate a few dollars to support our show. Think of it like a tip jar. If you like the show, throw a few things in the tip jar. Things in the tip jar.
Who's done that?
A guy named Derek who writes, I've been watching you guys for years at this point. I'm always looking forward to the next episode. And then he wants to know if we've ever seen Cube. I haven't, but we just watched Splice, which is by the same director. If you want to find out who the rest of our donors are, and if you want to see the contents of our mailbag, things that people have sent us, you can watch Unboxing, which is a special show that we created just to honor our donors, and that comes out this Friday, right?
Yes.
And now it's time for Seen It! Freddie T writes, have you guys seen Chariots of Fire? It's my guilty pleasure movie. You have some strange guilty pleasures. Seen it.
What guilt arises? It's like,
I'm not sure.
I never watch sports movies, but this one's British enough that it doesn't count.
I just watched this recently, many, many years after it won the Best Picture Oscar.
1981.
If it was made today, it would not be in the theaters. It would be on BBC America, and it would be 8 hours long.
And how do you like it?
Quite dry.
Yes.
Unlike that opening scene where they're running through the water, which is quite wet.
Yeah, that still makes you want to jog.
It still works.
I first saw it when I was in college. I lived with a guy who did not like English people. And so he just kept going on. I was like, oh, Britain, nah.
You live with Kevin Kline in A Fish Called Wanda?
It's obvious why it was nominated for Best Picture. Not obvious why it won. It's particularly not obvious because it beat Raiders of the Lost Ark, and nothing should beat that movie. Kyle Young asks, Blue Ruin. This is a tense movie where I found myself learning and growing as an audience member at the same time and pace as the protagonist. Seen it.
Yeah, seen it.
I am a big fan of this movie. I kind of impulse bought this at a movie theater one day, just kind of like, I don't know, this one. And wow, it's a very intense crime movie about a homeless guy who uses his homeless powers to achieve a vendetta on his family's enemies.
Is Blue Ruin the car? Because in that he drives a blue car.
I think Blue Ruin might be a southern phrase, like losing my religion. I'm not certain.
Life as Morgan writes, please let me know if you see The Lobster. I've been getting mixed reviews, and I'm very interested to know what you guys think. Seen it.
Seen it.
Just saw it last night, in fact.
I saw it in the theater.
It's a deep, deep black comedy. It's almost so dark that you wonder if it's a comedy at all, but the movie's so absurd, it can't be anything else but a comedy.
And also there's the satirical element of it all. I spent a long time being the only single guy in our group, and so I really felt that movie of that weird pressure of like, when are you gonna find someone? And none of you guys ever said it, but there was always that kind of question about my life. It's like, is anyone ever gonna be showing up here?
People were concerned that you didn't have a relationship?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I was one of those people.
No,
in fact, when you started dating Christina, I disapproved.
Before you met her?
Before I met her.
Yes, of course. The world building in it is so vast. They have all these details, but they don't answer all the questions. Not having the questions asked makes the movie more fascinating. I hope that come award season people remember Colin Farrell. He gets so much emotion across that he's trying to repress, yet he keeps that in as well as he can. It's a very well articulated role. Art Rock 101 says, Night Shift. Seen it?
Love Brokers. Seen it.
How many times did I see this before I even hit puberty? I think 115 times.
What a weird experience seeing Henry Winkler not be the Fonz. Now suddenly he's this nerd who's got this stable of prostitutes that he's trying to manage.
Out of a morgue.
Yeah.
This is Ron Howard's first movie.
This is not Ron Howard's first movie. He did a couple movies with Corman.
He demonstrates that he's very adept at comedy right off the bat. And Michael Keaton is a tornado in the movie.
That's Seen It.
And that's our show.
Woof woof, we watched Beethoven.
There's slobber all over the TV screen over there.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoyed a look back in August. And we hope that you'll join us next time here in the basement. Good night.
Oh, woof.
Well, why did you throw my newspaper in such an irresponsible fashion?
When I was young, when I was a boy, I had a paper.
I need puppies.
You're an embarrassment to this company. It's going to take us years.
The protein's been synthesized. It's in the fridge.
It's next to the macaroni salad.
So Clive's been left alone with a kid, and one thing quickly leads to another. That's for Halle Berry.
Clive and Dren
make love. But they're caught by Elsa. Try to explain your way out of this one, Clive.
I synthesized the protein.